Hi everyone, welcome to today's video for the week of an energy reset and a brief reading of the week ahead and some guidance for the moment of now. And if you come across this video at any time, there's probably some messages here for you if you feel drawn to this video. So we're going to start with cleansing the space with activating the energy that comes from the palo santo stick. This comes from a tree in Peru that I haven't fully studied myself, but I know that for me, one thing that I benefit from this is it brings this sweetness to the space and this like loving embrace. And I notice for myself, it doesn't really burn as and create a smoke as vibrantly as the sage would, but just the smell alone is purifying, and it's floral and it's fragrant in a much different way. So it's definitely great. It helps after, so maybe I do know something about this. It helps after like a cleanse of a space, then there's this emptiness. There's once you clear something out, there's space. And so what do you want to fill that with? And one thing you can utilize is the Palo Santo's fragrance and aura to fill the space with something like more of like a celebration, like a ringing of a bell. For some reason, it also kind of feels heavy, like it's still heavy, but what you can do also in a space after it's been cleared is bring in like fresh flowers, something really like rejuvenating and bright. This is floral, but it's also it's still pretty dense at the same time, if that makes sense. So she probably went, okay. Yeah, my knee in the lighter. There we go. Thank you, fire. Thank you, heat. Thank you, heat. It's helping to soften and release the heaviness that's on our heart, in our space, and letting it just melt into the ground. So thank you for that support that you're bringing to us. A new day, a fresh start, a completion of a cycle. A grieving, a loss. A cleared mind, and an open crown. I feel like it's a gift, the level of smoke that's coming from this, because I really rarely have this level of smoke release from the stick, from the Palo Santo. But today's different. I have a little dribble. And today I'm wearing, I felt inspired to grab this jacket that I thought was a different jacket, but then when I really pulled it out, it's one that's, I'm pretty sure, for my grandpa. The only reason why I'm like curious if it really is his is because it's kind of small at the waist, and he was definitely larger than that. But maybe it's from his younger years or something, but that's definitely a possibility. My grandpa passed away in 2020, and he lives on in these LL Bean soft flannel jackets that we've all gathered in different ways, like in our different homes. His family has these jackets that remind us of him. And he was a Vermonter, originally from actually New York City, grew up in Queens as a kid, and then Greenwich, Connecticut, and then moved as a teenager to Vermont. And that's where my mom grew up, and that's where my great-grandma, or my grandma and great-grandparents were rooted in Vermont, coming through Canada and French Canadian and France. So they met at this meeting point in Vermont. This Mead ancestry, this English Mead ancestry coming up from New York, and this French Canadian Labelle ancestry coming from Canada. And actually this house that I'm staying in, that's like I grew up in, was purchased and first owned by my great-grandma, Sarah Labelle, and I always forget my great-grandpa's name, but it's Romeo Labelle, I guess. So it's kind of cool. There's this like deep connection with my family in this location where I am. But the palo santo stick comes from Peru, which is the other side of my family on my father's side, and a place that I'm really looking forward to connect with in the physical, hopefully soon. Let's actually hold on to this for a second. So even through the muddiness that might be, like you might be experiencing or feeling through whatever is happening in your world that's causing this like sifting through the muck and the heaviness, I feel like a lot of like weight, and the palo santo stick is bringing in this like bell of a reminder that there is a floral essence on its way through, and right now we're just sitting with this so that it can be honored by being seen and felt, and then it will be naturally released as you go through that process of just simply letting it be, letting yourself be in that this like energy of something maybe more heavy or dense, weighted, and kind of like the lotus flower, it grows through the mud and then it blossoms through at the top of the waters where you see the flower, the lotus, but it couldn't have gotten there until it actually grew through the mud, and it needed that muddy environment, that murky environment where all the leaves and things are decomposing, and there's a lot of bacteria and bugs and water critters and all that stuff down there. It needs that environment before it can actually blossom into a flower. It's like part of its like essence and being is it has to have that environment to first grow. I'm gonna get a bell. I'm thinking which bell. And I think there's a bell that's here, possibly. Where's the bell? Okay, one moment. All right, well, I can't find the bell, but what we'll do instead is use this bowl, but I'm gonna pretend that the bell I have envisioned is the one that's being rung. Okay. What are you doing now in this moment? What are you creating from this moment in your body, from the heart beat? Presence with your fullest channel, every aspect of yourself, the entirety of who you are. And it can be brought to life within every single breath. Every single exhale that brings you back to centeredness, a sense of wholeness and inner peace that is created from within, and your own focus and choice of what to focus on. Wholeness and gratitude, appreciation for being alive. Even while feeling and holding space in this density, this heaviness, let's take a moment to feel and have space to feel that sensation. Of the muck and the mud. Not in your mind, feel it in your body. If you're on the other side of this, then just embrace that sensation instead. And even if there's a sensation of a weightedness from the clouds above you, a heaviness on top of you, we can still connect through to and break through the clouds above and connect with the sun and the star. Take a deep breath in and a cleansing breath out. And let it be. So for this week, I feel that that is all for this moment. And there's a lot of messages in that energy reset. So feel free to journal whatever might come up as things have kind of been shifted around through this simple audio, guided audio. And one other thing is bring attention to something that has been on your list or has been on your awareness to do that's involving kind of some heavy lifting in terms of like you don't really want to do it, but it's necessary. And just take a few steps at a time to tackle that. It can be a little bit. The song that came to me today was "One Step at a Time. There's no need to rush. It's like learning to fly or falling in love" by I forget her first name, but Hudson. And that's how I feel is like what's present for the thing. For me, it's reorganizing and cleaning my room, but it's so much more than that. And also tackling a personal development workshop or like program that I stalled out on like months ago. And so revisiting that and getting through the tough part that I've been resistant to complete. So what in your world is there that you've been kind of resistant to do, but it's totally just a mundane but super necessary thing to complete? What is one thing you can do today? Just write it down or commit to it. It can be as small as it needs to be, but something to complete today would really help to shift the energy and continue forward in momentum for what you've been calling in, or maybe what you set up for your vision last week. Any new inspiration, like all of those things need momentum and movement of energy to flow and to flourish, to thrive. And sometimes it feels like we're stalled out, but really it's just the process of creation where there's like fast movement and pauses, but the pauses do need to shift at some point. The pauses are usually just moments to reintegrate what just changed, or integrate into your shadow, with your shadow, something that just expanded in your consciousness or in your awareness or your new level, or if you jumped a timeline. So those pauses are necessary to reassess and realign. Okay, let's keep moving forward, but also staying true to what it is that my higher self is guiding me. Like, what is the message that I received? Can I actually take that and listen to it versus trying to force what I think I know best? And sometimes those messages from your higher self is, or your intuition, or your spirit team, all of those messages, sometimes they can feel like super vague and not clear, or the message you don't want to hear because they just don't feel like the easier path. And oftentimes, the thing that we're receiving from our intuition as guidance is going to be something that's going to require us to change the pathways of our habits and to jump timelines from within our inner world and our identity, and creating new neural pathways in our brain. All right, well, my next activity of the day has just arrived, aka babysitting, taking care of my niece and playing with her, doing art crafts and other fun activities. So I'll end that there. Thank you so much for joining and being here, and I'm wishing you all a beautiful day and week.